Welcome back to Rome Boys. On this special episode, we have an interview with Fr Rojo.
This guy.
Yeah. So it begins.
All right, I got a question right off the bat. Does anybody call you Father Red?
Yes.
They do, really?
Yes.
Rojo.
Yes.
Father Red.
And growing up in high school, a nickname of mine was Big Red. Nice. You can imagine any other association with red I've probably heard in my lifetime. So, yeah.
So did you play football?
In junior high for about a week.
Okay.
I was always when I'm more of a bookworm.
Okay, that's all right.
So, but all the football coaches would look at me like, oh my gosh, he's what a waste. And, so, yeah. But...
Me too. I thought I was the only one.
All right. Well, I guess a brief bio on Fr Rojo if you've never met the man. He's a priest in the Diocese of San Angelo, currently serving as Vocation Director and Director of Seminarians. He attended Mundelein Seminary in Chicago before being ordained a priest in 2015. Immediately returning to school afterwards at the Liturgical Institute in Chicago to finish his Licentia. Why did y'all give this to me?
Got a mouth like an outboard motor. All the time. Put, 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 put.
And Sacred Theology.
Give it to the farmer for your humor.
That's right. He served as a Sacred Heart Cathedral in San Angelo for 2 years before serving at St. Anne's Parish in Midland. Father Ryan is still in school. Really?
I am.
You said you're a bookworm.
I'm a bookworm. If I could be a full-time student, I would do it.
Wow. Sounds like you are.
Yeah.
Working on a Master's of Science in Management from Villanova University in Philadelphia. He enjoys Apple products, binge-worthy television, and reading.
I am on social media.
I do enjoy social media too.
Very
You're
good.
a baby priest, so you're still young.
5 years ordained.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be 32 next week.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
So.
That's awesome.
What day was 5 years?
So
May.
for ordination, May 31st.
Okay.
May 31st.
No, excuse me, May 30th. Just kidding.
Okay.
May 30th was the date of my ordination.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, wonderful.
5:30.
Praise God.
All right.
Thanks for
2015.
saying yes.
Oh no,
Okay.
good. It's been. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else.
Awesome.
So 2020 was your 5th year, huh? What
It
a
was.
big year.
Yeah, it was my 5th year. Yep.
Thank you for everybody.
5th year for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Big year for everybody, good or bad.
So what do you do for a living? No.
I'm
Just kidding.
Catholic priest.
It's pretty awesome.
So why did you want to become a Catholic priest, or how did that all get started?
So I really kind of credit the beginnings of my vocation, my calling, with Catholic school. I went to St. Mary's School in Odessa. Growing up, I started there in about the 4th grade. Went there to about the 6th grade, and then my family moved to Fort Worth. And I went to a school called St. Rita's in Fort Worth, and it was there that I met a lady. Her name was Sister K. Jo Evelo, and she was a wonderful woman, religious, habited, good woman. And she was probably in her 50s, 60s, but she was the PE coach, and she handled all the athletic programs.
Okay, so
and
she was
so,
real.
yeah, she was real. And there was just something about her that I was just kind of drawn to. Maybe it was just her aura or spirituality, and I would just hang out with her all the time. And I remember once being in the gym, and she pulled me aside and said, "Have you ever thought about being a priest, Ryan?" And I was in 7th grade, and a 7th grader, I don't know what kind of impact that had, but I think it had a pretty big impact at the time. I said, "I don't know," but it really kind of stuck. And so I continued with Catholic education through 8th grade, moved back to Odessa. I'm originally from Odessa, growing up, and got really involved in my parish. And it was really kind of there that I felt that call kind of growing, and that call really came through God's people, who would oftentimes tell me, "Hey, Ryan, I think you have the makings to be a good priest. You should really think about it."
You got
and
the gift.
You have the gift.
Got the glow.
Some people said, "Yeah, you have the voice for it." And I was really active in youth ministry, and I was part of a retreat team back in Odessa. And so I really do say that my vocation of the priesthood was confirmed by God's people.
Awesome.
And so that's really
That's
kind of it wasn't no St. Paul experience getting knocked off the horse. and Christ voice coming. It was really kind of a gradual thing. But even after high school, I resisted it for a while, and I ended up going to UTPB over there in Odessa for a couple years, and then finally made the jump. But even then, when I made the jump, I told the vocation director at the time, "I'm giving you a semester." Well, a semester turned into 2 semesters, turned into a year, 4 years, and here I am today. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That's a great
And
story.
you said Catholic education was huge.
Yeah, it was. It
'Cause I
was.
see, in our world today, Catholic schools are closing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, COVID and all those kinds of things. So
Yeah. Yeah,
It's,
yeah. I have a strong personal commitment to Catholic schools. I still believe in the mission of Catholic schools, and I really would not mind in my own priesthood one day working in Catholic school and trying to encourage that vision. So yeah, I think it's still.
We need
I think
to
it has
support them,
I still think it has a vital place in the life of the church. So
On the local level, all our kids are in part of a Catholic homeschool.
yeah, nice.
We
I
don't
think
have an official, building or anything like that. So
I think the best Catholic school is oftentimes homeschool. Homeschooling, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And great to watch our kids grow, and they get to direct the curriculum, and our priest loves it, and he sees them growing up in the faith, and they get to participate in mass, and it's very cool
Yeah,
it's pretty
to
awesome.
watch my wife teach our kids.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
So what do you think are the signs of or what should a person be looking for if they're discerning priesthood? If a young man is thinking about that, what are some?
Yeah, I think of the qualities of a man who's discerning priesthood. I think he should first and foremost be a man of prayer. Okay, I think he should be somebody who has an active interest in the prerogatives of the Lord, and he should seek out those prerogatives in Eucharistic adoration, even if it's just sitting in front of the Blessed Sacrament in the tabernacle of the church for 10-15 minutes daily. I think that's very becoming for somebody who is looking to become a priest. Fulton Sheen was very much fond of the holy hour in the life of a priest, and I think for maybe someone who's 16 to 18, that might be kind of daunting, but that's what if someone's serious about priesthood, they would be working towards that. So you definitely want to foster that Eucharistic devotion in your life, and John Paul II was very big on Eucharistic devotion.
Yes.
I think every pope since and before. So we definitely want to keep the Eucharist at the center of our lives. It's really kind of the center of our priestly hearts. And so, so I'd say prayer is essential. Also, I would think it's important for a young man who is thinking about the priesthood to be involved in his parish. Specifically, if you're starting to become a diocesan priest, and maybe we can talk about the distinction a little bit
I think
more
that would
later.
help a lot.
I'm the vocation director for the Diocese of San Angelo, and so a lot of my work is specifically trying to foster vocations through the diocesan priesthood. What does that mean? Well, so I'm a priest in the Diocese of San Angelo. I will forever serve, ideally, more than likely, in the Diocese of San Angelo. I will not leave the geographical boundaries of West Texas. I will live and probably die here.
I was born in this hole, and I'll die in this hole.
and that's okay because I love West Texas, and so most of my ministry will be concentrated in parishes. I will be a parish priest, serving in parishes throughout West Texas. Lord knows where, but it'll be somewhere.
Awesome.
And so that's a particular charism of diocesan priesthood is parish priesthood and serving in a geographical area. Another aspect of priesthood is religious priesthood. And so you might have heard of groups like Dominicans, Franciscans, Benedictines, and all these different groups have different charisms that might not be related to a diocese and might not be related to a parish. Some of them are teachers. Some of them have a particular ministry to the poor. So I think it's important to keep those different charisms in mind. So if a man is open to the priesthood, I think that's that first gate, if you will, and then even beyond that. Okay, so but what is the Lord asking me to do with that priesthood? And what does that priesthood look like? I think that might be the second question.
And you see, there's kids that are participating in the mass, and they're being altar servers and such. And so, I've seen other parents of not even their own children say, "Have you ever thought about being a priest?"
The invitation is huge.
Yeah, the invitation is huge. The invitation was so essential in my own life.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's important for a young man to be involved in his parish.
Yeah.
Regardless if he's going to be a diocesan priest or a religious priest, I think that parish work is so essential. Serve as a lector, serve as an altar server, serve as an extraordinary minister for Holy Communion, whatever the Lord might be calling you to do in your parish. I think that's going to be very fruitful. I myself was very much involved in youth ministry. I was very much involved in a retreat team growing up at St. Joseph's Parish in Odessa. Shout out to everyone out there.
Hello? Who's
So it was instrumental in my life, and so the parish, I think, is really kind of the foundation of a vocation. I think a guy should be plugged into that. So prayer and the parish life. I also think that a young man should talk to a priest about his calling.
What do you do all day?
What do you do all day? And I actually met with a young man this last week, and he was 16 years old. He lives in San Angelo. I won't say who he is, but pray for him. And but that was a question he had. He said, "So you say mass, and then what do you do?
What do you do all day?
What do you do all day? Yeah, so
PlayStation.
Yeah, So I load up the Switch and go at it. And I only do that in the evening. But but those are good, realistic questions, and I think that you're not going to find the answer to those things unless you ask a priest. And I think it's good to foster good relationships with priests, right? The priest shouldn't be the guy in the rectory, who you just kind of see on Sunday morning. If you're thinking about the priesthood, seek that guy out.
Hang out
Get
with
to
him.
know him. Get to know him. Yeah.
Invite him over for a meal.
Invite him over for a meal. Yeah.
One of the secular phrases is, "You are the average of the 5 people you hang around."
Yeah.
So, hang around priests.
If one of those is priest, a couple of those were priests.
Yeah.
Heck
You're in good shape there.
Yeah.
I had already made a commitment to my wife and asked her to marry me, but when I was in college, my roommates, they're all priests and things now.
Really? Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nobody's perfect.
It's cool to see, when you're around other people. We were, I was having lunch in San Angelo, and then I saw you guys walk in, and there's 4 priests there. I'm like,
Oh my goodness, a
they
priest
do
in a
eat
restaurant.
food at restaurants.
They go in public? Who knew?
So good to see.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool when you shared about Eucharistic adoration.
Yeah.
We're not in a vocations crisis, we're in a listening crisis. So if we can truly listen to our Lord, when I was in the seminary for 2.5 years in Denver, it was so cool. We had a daily holy hour, and all those men could figure out what they're called to do by that listening time. It's the greatest fruit from the whole experience. But even more awesome, or just as awesome as that, is I would get up, go to the restroom in the middle of the night, and it would be like 4 in the morning, and the Archbishop Chaput, his house was on the grounds of the seminary, and he was doing his holy hour, and the light was on, and he was praying every day. So all of us can benefit, regardless of vocation, to be with our Lord.
Yeah.
I just wish our parishes all had adoration, so that's a step for those listening to get that started.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I think statistically it's been shown, and it should be no surprise that parishes that foster and encourage Eucharistic adoration oftentimes produce more religious and priestly vocations.
Yeah, man.
So
Wow.
I love that analogy.
yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the, is it a personal thing, or do you have an intention with your master's degree that you're studying for?
The one in church management?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to be the best parish priest I can possibly be.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple.
Right.
I mean, the seminary, while a beautiful experience, I think kind of a blind spot is kind of that administrative,
Absolutely.
that administrative skill set that's
I'm an
necessary to run a
administrator,
parish.
I get it.
You know, so in reality, when a guy is running a parish, he's running a small business.
Yeah.
And so just kind of getting a knack for small business and nonprofit work,
Yes.
because that's essentially how what a parish is on a secular level, I think is going to be very advantageous and beneficial for my future work. So,
Yeah.
and
Because
then,
in the seminaries, there are no economics classes.
no, unfortunately not. And so, I'll be honest with you, the first time I ever had a finance council meeting when I was at the cathedral, and I looked at a profit loss sheet and budgets, and it made my head go round and round.
Yeah.
So what do all these numbers mean,
Yeah,
and
no
how did we
exposure.
get these numbers, and so I think this would be advantageous. And does a priest need to pursue this degree program? No. I mean,
not required,
most
right.
priests pick it up on their own, and they're very successful. But I'm a slow learner. All right, so
You can use it to teach other priests.
well, yeah, that's
what's cool.
that would kind of be
Opportunity.
that would kind of be my hope one day.
Yeah.
And as seminary director, I think really kind of encouraging our guys to have a consciousness of this dimension of their future ministry.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the job.
It's
Part of the
interesting
job.
because Dave Ramsey spits out quotes all the time, and statistics, and marriages, over half of them ending in divorce, and over 90% of those are money related. So, gosh, I mean, you're married to your
I
your
wonder
parish,
how much
right?
in a priest, or what drags you down, or what's tough.
I can tell you firsthand that a lot of woes in parishes are related to money.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Well, and a lot of times it seems like it's risk based. Not to get too much in the weeds here, but like they're worried about risk, so insurance costs and all these matters. And so I'm really glad you're doing that.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
If you can kind of help your parishes and your people weed through that, you can be pastoral. If that's not a problem, right? Money's not a problem unless you don't have any.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Well, and too, if having that background in business, or that that you could maybe not be as vulnerable to being bullied into a project that maybe it doesn't need to take place.
Exactly.
Just
experience.
Just having that experience.
Yeah.
So back on to vocation.
Okay.
What can families do to help their children be open to the priesthood?
Yeah, I think families could begin by taking their children to mass.
Gee, do you think it could work?
It's got to work. It's our only hope.
That's a good step.
That seems like such a it's something that doesn't need to be stated, but it absolutely needs to be stated. When
So
a
you're saying
small percentage of Catholics take their children to mass.
So soccer's not more important.
Soccer's not more important than mass, right?
Yeah, what is the statistic now?
I can't remember. I think it's like isn't it 20%, something like that? Yeah,
you're right. You start off by saying that.
Yeah. So I mean, and my mom will tell you that she always wanted one of her sons to be a priest, right? And so. My mom, in order to accomplish that, took her children to mass, and so but that was just kind of like the baseline. That's the very beginning, and so because I think children have to have that exposure to the mysteries of faith, right, and they have to have that exposure to the Blessed Sacrament, and even receiving the Blessed Sacrament. And there is that saying, "You are what you eat," right? And so I eat cheeseburgers, and I look like a cheeseburger, and so if you eat the Blessed Sacrament, you will become Christ.
And your passion, like we were talking about before, is the beauty of the liturgy. So if you have the smells and the bells and the incense and all that beautiful church, that's just going to lead a man to want to die to self and become a priest. Give his life for the church.
What was exciting about before you became a priest, and when you're like, your heart was probably beating before you were just about to say yes permanently, right?
At the cathedral on the ground.
Yeah. What excited you about becoming a priest?
Yeah, I mean, I think celebrating the sacraments excited me most. Hearing confessions excited me. Celebrating the Mass excited me. Baptizing children excited me.
Sacraments.
And sacraments. And so, and because that's really kind of the heart of our priestly ministry. We're sanctifying God's people. We're instruments in sanctifying God's people. And so, having that privilege and having that opportunity it's remarkable. It's mind-blowing. And so, but also just being with people in the circumstances, even sometimes difficult circumstances of their lives, right? And helping people recognize, yes, you might be experiencing some degree of suffering right now, but the beautiful thing about our faith is we worship a God who is sympathetic with our suffering, because He Himself died in Calvary. So. And so helping people recognize this. I always say, a lot of people say priests are poor man's counselors, and maybe that's true, right? But but I always say that my job as a priest, when someone comes to me with a difficult situation, is to help them see how the gospel speaks to that situation, right? So if someone needs help beyond the spiritual, I'm very conscious to say you might need to find someone else, but what I'm here to say is this is what Christ says to this situation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
As a convert, before I came into the church, I didn't feel like I needed anybody else. It was just, I got my Bible, that's it. It's me and God. And as I became Catholic, I realized how much I need you. And so that's got to be also kind of a heavy load to carry, right?
And I think conversely, I need y'all.
Yeah.
Right?
Amen.
Some of the you mentioned what excited me before ministry. Well, after I was ordained a priest, one of the things that I've looked forward to the most is those opportunities where I'm invited to people's homes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag.
Those opportunities when I'm getting to know families, personal connections and seeing people. When I was at St. Anne's for 2 years, I saw families grow and new life come, and and the joys and the struggles with that, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of that. So
you are a part of the family.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Right.
So that's having dinner. A couple nights ago, I had dinner with some good friends of mine in San Angelo, and we must have sat there for 2 or 3 hours just talking, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and really our conversation was pretty holy, and so it was nice.
That's great.
Nice.
Do you have a personal mission as a priest, or certain goals? Like, I want to accomplish with God's grace these things. Because every priest has their own,
I never imagined myself being the seminarian director, the vocation director. Okay,
There's God.
and then it's funny because someone who I work with in St. Anne's can actually tell you when I was at St. Anne's for about a year, I was talking to her about where the Lord might be calling me to in that next year, and one thing I said is, well, I'll tell you one thing, I would never want to be the vocation director, or the seminary director for the diocese. I said never, and here I am.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
So, but I think that the Lord and the church saw certain gifts that I offered to this ministry, and so I said, well, if they have confidence in me, then I can't say no. Yeah. So here we are.
That's great.
But personal missions, I one of the things that I would love to do is help people have a deeper and more conscious awareness of the Mass. And I think.
What do you mean?
If I may, I think for the last 50 years, I think that a lot of people just kind of have a very surface level appreciation for the Mass, right?
Yes.
Or it might be something that we go to and something that we sit through and something that we endure. But helping people realize that the prayers that we say are ancient.
That's the way to do it. That's old school.
Yeah? No school like the old school.
Right.
Yeah.
And even the melodies that we sing, if a priest sings, are equally ancient. And the chants and the texts and the flow and the look, all of it is sign and symbols, and sign and symbols communicate something to us, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's what I've always wanted to do, is help people appreciate the signs and symbols of the Mass so they can enter more deeply into it.
Yeah, Scott Hahn's conversion story. It just that reminds me of like, you know what you guys are saying?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And most of us don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so, being that it hasn't changed, that it just becomes so ordinary that we just take it for granted. We just don't understand what it means.
Oh yeah, no, and I understand that. I mean, I lived my life as a Catholic all my life.
Yeah.
I understand that. I get that. So, but when someone just invites you to look deeper and beyond what you're perceiving and what's trying to be communicated to you, it's life changing. It's really life changing.
Well, that's the whole, what we're called to participate in the Mass.
Exactly.
Most of us are just kind of, we can say the prayers without even thinking because we know them so well, because we do it every Sunday. But to have an appreciation for it, you're participating in the Mass, you're a part of it.
So many people go to just get, right?
Right.
Or check it off the list.
You're here to serve me, so I'm here, and checking the box.
Yeah. I think a lot of people also equate participation to doing something, right? And I think that's absolutely true. But Pius X talked about participation in two ways. There's an interior participation, first and foremost, where you allow yourself spiritually to enter into the sacred mysteries, right? And then from that flows this exterior participation of kneeling, standing, sitting, and then maybe even reading, serving in whatever way possible, right? So that interiority has to take place when you're celebrating the Mass.
Where's your head at?
Where's your brain? Why'd you kick me? Where's your brain?
Where's your head? Exactly. Yeah. Where's your head? Where's your soul at, huh?
Which is difficult when you have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
When you're a parent, that's hard. Yeah, but at the same time, you're trying to. I like to try to sit there and say it with Father as he's.
Or read the readings before Mass.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to enter.
Half the time we don't hear it when we have little kids, so I did hear it before.
Some of the more beautiful moments in my life as a priest is when I'm celebrating Mass and I'm looking out and I see, note to families, I think some of the best practice you can get into is sitting in the front pews with your young ones, right? Be brave and get up there, like
kids actually pay attention more,
right? And so when they're in the front pews, so families at St. Anne's, for example, some families were always conscious in the front pews of the church. And it was beautiful to see families coaching their young ones, right? So if they were getting a little distracted, it was just like, okay, and they would like get down to the level and like point to the altar and say,
This is what's happening.
What's Father doing? What's going on up there? And
Teachable moment.
And the kid, yeah, he might focus for 5 minutes and then go back to whatever he was doing in the pew. But like that's very. I think that has a lot of potential and it's very transformative. I think it's just kind of like a sponge. I think kids just kind of soak it up, right? And so
at the Epiclesis, since they were just, brand new babies, I would always hold them up, and everybody just got dead silent, and I'm just look.
The miracles.
Yeah.
I use it as a discipline. Father's watching you.
I will be watching you.
Father's watching you.
And you can see everything from up there, right?
I can see quite a bit. Yeah, I can see the kid in the back on his cell phone. I can see it. But it's fine. It's fine. It's what it is. So, but yeah, those are some of the more enduring moments and some of the more beautiful moments is when a family is really trying their hardest to, engage and enter into the mass. And if the little one has a moment, fine, get up, take them out, figure it out, and then them back.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
life happens, right?
You might have to edit this out, but I'm kind of anti-cry room. That's just me personally.
So you want all the kids in
I think kids should be in church. I don't know. That's just me. That's just me.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, we have a Rome Boys Twitter follower who has a question. A lot of people have told me I would be a good priest. How do I know if I'm being called?
Well, I think the fact that a lot of people are telling you that is a good sign.
Just give me a sign.
And so
openness there.
Openness, right? In my own vocation story, I think in my own vocation story, people telling me, "Hey, Ryan, I think you have the makings to be a good priest." That was pretty influential in my life. And I grew up in a program called the Search Program here in the diocese. And at the end of the Search Program, when they were doing the evaluations, they also had another form that said, "Do you know anybody who you think would be a good priest?" And it seemed that every retreat I was at, my name was getting turned in. Then I would get this letter from the vocation director saying, hey, people thought you'd be a good priest. Okay. Well, I knew it got serious when people were putting my name down for retreats I wasn't at. And I was doing letters, and I was like, I wasn't even there.
Yeah, just work with these guys, man. I wasn't even there.
So I think the fact that people are seeing these gifts and talents in you is a good sign, and so I think that's something that you have to explore. Look, I think biologically, on a natural level, everyone is called to the sacrament of marriage. Okay, I think our body admits that we are made to be in communion with, if you're a man, with your wife, if you're a woman, with your husband, right? But I think that God sometimes calls men and women to pursue something supernatural and to pursue something heavenly, right? Because there's no marriage in heaven,
right?
And so
I think a lot of people forget that or don't know that.
Yeah, they might not know that. Yeah, so our Lord says there's no marriage in heaven, and that might be kind of shocking.
Until death do us part,
right? But the reality is, it's because marriage is a sign of Christ's love for His church, right? That's what St. Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 5, and so, but when you're in heaven, you have no need of a sign, because you have the reality, like you are there with Christ, and I personally believe that your loved ones that you had here on earth will be in that beatific vision with you in heaven, and that love that you had here on earth will be magnified, right, and purified. So it's not like you're just gonna not care about your wife who you spent your lifetime with,
but actually love them that much more.
You'll love them that much more, right? But priests and religious are called to model in this life through the charism of celibacy, specifically in chastity, our heavenly calling. When people see priests, they should think of heaven. When people see religious, they should think of heaven. When people see married couples, they should think of heaven. So it's really kind of all otherworld oriented, if you will.
And regardless of our vocation, it's going to be hard. I'm sure celibacy is difficult.
Oh yeah, that has its moments. The other day I got a flat tire. Okay, and look, even if I was married, I get it. Like, I would be the guy changing the tire, all right? But I had no one to commiserate with. It was like, okay, I got a tire. God, I got a tire. But you're not really, you don't talk back. Okay.
I have no one to vent to.
No, there's a time when venting is actually legit. You need to vent.
So in those moments, it's I guess it's kind of hard. But celibacy is a gift in that I'm able to model to the world that heavenly calling, that heavenly reality that we all hope to experience one day.
It's interesting how sacrifice is that reflection of heaven. I mean, you got to get married, or become a priest, or
yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people see vocation as like this terrible sacrifice, right? It's like, and I think
Thanks for understanding my joke.
Yeah. But I'm the vocations director, and but I think there's a crisis in marriage too. I think so many people are not pursuing marriage in the life of the church, and I think a lot of people are skirting marriage because they don't want the responsibility and the commitment that comes with marriage. And people see, unfortunately enough, pregnancy in children as a disease, and that's something to be avoided, right? And I think that's most unfortunate. And so I would encourage, if you're out there, if you're currently dating somebody, you're discerning marriage, have that openness to life. It's an essential thing for marriage. And if you don't have that openness to life, then you shouldn't be getting married.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's it. I love you because you speak the truth.
Well,
it sets us free. We need
The truth shall set you free.
it feeds us.
Yeah.
It's true. In our lives, I would say, praise be to God, we want them to be a representation of the truth. And so we've got 18 kids amongst the three of us, right? And you've got how many in your family of parishes?
I guess a diocese now, I guess,
There you go.
Yeah, diocese.
So, Father, you're pretty on social media.
Yeah,
Where
I am.
can people find you?
I am. So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. If you just look for Father Ryan Rojo, you can find me. Great. And also, I'll make a shameless plug for the Vocation Facebook and Instagram account. If you haven't given that a like or a follow, please do. We're trying to get good content out there, and a project that I'm really excited about is we're actually going around the diocese filming vocation stories of priests.
Good.
And so,
wonderful.
Priests young and old. And so I think, when you think about some priests who have served in this diocese faithfully, you might not know their story. You might know who they are, but how did they get there? So we're going to get that out.
Joe can put this in the show notes.
Absolutely.
So,
We'll have a link to your to the website
and so
the accounts there.
Hope to get that content out by the new year. So
great.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thanks for all you do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for y'all. Thanks y'all for starting this up. I think this is really good work.
Well, thank you, Father. We appreciate it. And if you would like and subscribe and show us that you appreciate what we're doing, just go ahead and click that button. Share us with your friends, and we'll be back next time. Thank you, Father.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
God bless.
God bless.